And we are live. Welcome, mystery and thriller fans. I'm your on-air host, Sarah DeVello, and I am thrilled to be hosting the incredible Jane Healey today about her brand new book, The Secret Stealers. Jane, welcome. Tell us about your book.
Thank you so much for having me, Sarah. You guys at the Mighty Blaze are just amazing. I'm so happy to be here. So this is my third historical fiction novel and my first spy thriller kind of mystery. And so I love mysteries and thrillers, so I always wanted to write one. And I learned about these women who were in the Office of Strategic Services, the precursor to the CIA in World War II. And the more I dug deeper into the research, the more I knew that I not only wanted to write a story about them, but I wanted it to have that spy thriller element to it. Yeah.
Ooh, I love that. And actually, prior to reading your book, I did not know that the OSS, the Office of Strategic Services, was the precursor to the CIA, which is such a cool factoid because I actually just had a CIA agent on a few weeks ago, Alma Katsu, and I had no idea. So tell us more about this precursor to the CIA.
Yes, so it was started by William Donovan, Major General William Donovan. He was a World War I war hero. He was one of the most decorated soldiers in World War I. He was friends with Roosevelt. He had gone to law school with Roosevelt. And it became clear at the onset of World War II that the Americans needed something like the SOE, which was the British spy organization. They needed the counterpart. They needed some sort of espionage organization. And so Roosevelt tapped Donovan to start it. And so Donovan built it from scratch. He was a pretty brilliant guy, and he was very well connected. So he built it from scratch, and he hired people basically that he knew in his network, so he could build it up very, very quickly. And he was, upper class, Ivy League educated, highly successful guy. So he tapped into that upper class Ivy League network of his. And so to the point that at some point the organization earned the nickname Oh So Social or Oh So Snobby. Yeah, so and that didn't change that much over time. So he started the organization, built it up to 13,000 people with men and women stationed all over the country. All over the world in World War II. So it's pretty extraordinary.
That is extraordinary. Now, Donovan is a character who appears in your book. So I love when books, historical fiction, take real life people and then interweave them with characters that they've imagined. So walk us through that process. Who's real and who ain't real?
There's, it's funny. Some of the characters like Donovan are real, and some of them are composites of different women or men I'd read about. Donovan is definitely a real character. There's another character named Julia, who is a real character in history that I'll save that. I don't want to spoil that. There's a character named Nora Khan in the novel, and she was based on Noor Khan, who was a real SOE British spy agent. Noor Khan was descended from Indian royalty. She was a children's book writer and really did not fit the mold as an SOE agent, and they almost fired her, but then she turned out to be this incredibly brave spy who went undercover in France. Another character that is based directly from a real character in real life is Josette, who is one of the main characters. She is a spy with the French Resistance, and she is based on this amazing woman, Jeanne de Clarence Rousseau, who was she's called one of the most extraordinary women of her generation. And when she was just like 22 years old, she started spying for the French Resistance and stole some of the biggest military intelligence secrets of the war from the Germans. And so her story in the book very much maps to the story of the real Jeanne Rousseau.
Wow. At the age of only a tender 22, he was stealing secrets. I honestly could not believe, when I was 22, I was emerging from college. Wow. What an incredibly brave young lady. That's amazing. I want to hear more about this. And I want to hear about your French research and all of your research. I just want to pause really quickly and welcome everyone on Facebook. Hey, Hey, mystery and thriller friends, family, and fans. It's so great to have you back. If you've been here before, you know how this works. And if you're new, welcome. We're so thrilled to have you. And here's how it works. Every Tuesday, I present you with two fabulous featured authors, and you get to ask them anything. This is your chance, fam. Pick their brains. Let's nerd out about mysteries and thrillers. Let's talk research. Let's talk writing. Let's talk the secret stealers. Get your questions going in the comments, and I'll get them right over to Jane. So I just want to welcome Sharon, welcome Leslie, welcome Anissa, welcome Leslie, welcome everybody. It's so great to have you. Anissa's giving us hearts up, top community member there. Anissa, thanks for the hearts. We're so thrilled to have you. Leslie, hi, welcome. Thanks for coming. So great to have you here. Sharon says she is reading The Secret Stealers right now. Sharon, you and me both, girl. She said it's so good. I have about 100 pages left. Ooh.
You're the best. Thank you so much.
Yay. Well, we're so thrilled to have you all. Oh, Anissa saying she already read it. Oh, very interesting and so well written. Anissa, thank you. Thanks for letting us know. Oh, Sharon's saying at 22, all I did was go out and work and go out. Sharon, you and me both. the idea of a 22-year-old young lady stealing secrets. I mean, what a brave, incredible person.
Incredible. Yeah.
Anissa saying she listened to the audiobook and loved it. Let's start there. What was the process? Did you get to audition voices? Did you have any input? Give us the 411 on that.
You know, I did have a little bit of input. I didn't have the final input, but my novel, The Beantown Girls, was narrated by Sarah Molo Christensen, who is so brilliant as a narrator that I kind of begged my publisher to try to track her down and book her again. And she did this one too. She was available, and I have a hard time listening to my own audiobooks, but I had to listen to a little, and she's amazing. Like, she can have 5 different people in a conversation, and you would never know that it's one person doing 5 different voices. She's incredible. So yeah, so Sarah Molo Christensen once again just blew me away. So good.
All right, well, inside tip, anybody whose name is Sarah is probably awesome.
There you go.
So you should, just trust that and go with that. I've never met a bad Sarah. Knock on wood. So Jean, let's talk about your research.
Yes.
So Elizabeth Blackwell, I want to get this exactly right. I don't want to misquote her. Elizabeth Blackwell, who is it gave you a rave blurb. She's the author of Red Mistress, says that you bring to life the fascinating and often overlooked stories of female spies during World War II, impeccably researched. Healy's novel immerses you in a world of secrets and treachery right up to the heart-pounding conclusion. Let's start there and talk about your research process, lady, because clearly you're winning it.
Thank you. Yes, this was a really intensive research process for this book. But my last 2 books, the subject matter was a kind of more smaller niche stories. So there's only a finite amount of research for both books that you could find out there. But this one, because it covered the OSS and the SOE and and French resistance, I could still be researching it now. I mean, it was fun, right? So I read a couple dozen books at least, and then found a lot of online resources. The OSS had just declassified their personnel files in 2008, so those are all available online, or most of them are.
Ooh.
And because it became clear that in the arc of the story, Paris was going to be a big part of that story, almost like another character. So I had to suffer through a research trip in October 2019. And I dragged my husband because he speaks beautiful French, and I found a historian over there who specializes in. He's a professor named Nigel Perrin, and he specializes in French resistance and occupied France, and he's writing a paper actually on spaces that were important to the French resistance in World War II. So he was like my perfect guide, and I spent an entire day walking all over the city, taking pictures, taking notes, asking him all the million questions I had. And he pointed out, he showed me places, even like buildings that are very nondescript, that played such an important role in the French Resistance, and it really helped me totally shape the trajectory and the narrative, and actually took me on a couple different paths that I didn't expect. And that trip was just invaluable. So great. Hey, Mindy. I see Mindy.
That sounds so cool.
Yeah.
I absolutely love that. And Nisa saying, "Oh, the suffering y'all do for your readers." Taking the bullet for us, selflessly going to Paris, eating croissants. I'm imagining strolling down sunny streets with a baguette under her arm, just all in the service for our book, guys. Let's go.
No, I did it for you. I did it for all of you.
Well, we are grateful because, as Elizabeth Blackwell said in her review of your work, this is impeccably researched, and that kind of detail and that kind of work really does shine through, both directly and indirectly. Mindy's saying, "Hi, Sarah." Hi, Mindy. Welcome. Good to have you. Mindy saying also, "Hi, Jane." Mindy, we're so thrilled you're here. So tell us more about the declassified records, because as soon as you said declassified, I had to know more.
Yeah, and so there are some things that are still classified actually about the OSS, including the number of women who served undercover. I still haven't gotten an exact number because they have not ever revealed that. I think it was probably a couple of hundred, maybe not that many from the U.S. who were in the OSS overseas. But the declassified personnel records, I went through a bunch of them online that you can find online. Some of them were very kind of dry, but they still gave you kind of a sense of the structure of the organization, how people were hired, what departments there were, how they were promoted, why and how they were sent overseas for what roles. So that type of kind of nerdy stuff really does help you kind of understand the organization, which is such a huge part of the book. So that was really helpful.
Wow. Oh my God. And I can't believe that some of those records are still classified, including how many women were undercover. That's amazing.
Amazing. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Nancy's saying, "Hi, ladies." Hey, Nancy, welcome. Sharon would like to know more about the American Hospital. Give us the 411 on that.
That is an excellent question. So actually, and that brings up something that I didn't mention earlier when you asked me about real characters that were real people. History. So the American Hospital in Paris remained open during the war. It was protected under the International Red Cross to serve POWs, to serve men coming back, to serve sometimes American soldiers. And it was run by Sumner Jackson. And he was a guy from Maine, actually. He was a doctor from Maine. He married a French woman named Toquette. And so he was a surgeon in World War I. He ran the American Hospital in Paris in World War II. He was told he should leave. He was at the onset of the war, and especially when the Americans got involved in the war. But he refused. And he and his wife decided not only were they going to stay, but they were going to help the French Resistance. And so he did some amazing things like write out fake death certificates for the soldiers to get them out of the country.
Right.
And his house on Avenue Foch 11 Avenue Foch was a drop site for the French Resistance to share messages. Sometimes he would even hide resistance members in the house. He risked everything and he was an amazing doctor on top of it all. So when I read about him and all he did, I knew I had to include him in the story. He was such a hero. Like this kind of understated guy, and he's from Maine, exactly, for the New England for the win. I like that. So yeah, so sadly he was captured at the very end of the war and sent to the camps, as was his wife and son. And his wife and son survived and made it back, but he died in the camps, which is very sad because he was such a hero.
Oh my God! Wow, what an incredible act of courage and sacrifice and bravery. Oh, the ultimate sacrifice. I'm getting goosebumps.
Yeah.
Sharon saying, "Thanks. I've never heard anything about the hospital." I haven't either. So Sharon, thanks for the great question. And Jane, thanks for that inside scoop, because we're all about getting the secrets of the secret stealers here. Mindy saying, "Thanks for the hellos." And I love Jane and her books. The Secret Stealers is waiting for me on my Kindle. Yay. That's fantastic. And I love that you're reading it on your Kindle. Anissa listening to it on her audiobooks, and some of us reading on good old fashioned discussion paper. It's so cool to hear how everybody likes to read. And of course, you're so welcome for the hellos. We're so happy to have you here. This is a conversation. This is a collaborative conversation. We're all here to chat together. This is not my event. This is yours. So let's keep it going, chatting away. Patricia, welcome. She said this sounds amazing, and I agree. Yay! So we're getting so many, fascinating stories on, on real people, and interweaving, real people with characters from Jane's imagination. Leslie saying she's addicted to reading. She loves almost all books. Yay! That's so fantastic. Well, Leslie, it's good to have you here because you sound like our kind of gal. So this is fantastic. Anissa says she wants to hear more. She wants to look up more information on the American Hospital. Me too, because that sounds absolutely fantastic. And that guy, you're getting tons of hearts up on Facebook. Thank you for all the hearts. World War II, Lady Spies, and Mystery and Intrigue. We are here for it. Jane, why'd you want to write this book?
Why did I want to write this book? I had, like I said, I feel like with each book, I've wanted to push myself more and challenge myself and stretch my creativity. And I always like to write a book that I think I would love to read. And so I love that you interview mystery and thriller authors, because that's like my favorite genre and always has been. So I really wanted to try, once I knew this story, to write a spy thriller that would really honor these women and men. I mean, there's a lot of men in the book, like Sumner Jackson and William Donovan, that people deserve to know more about them. To tell you too, the origins of my, I have kind of an idea file. I'm sure you probably have something like this too, for like possible new books. And I had found an article. It was from a while ago now, and it was two old ladies in a retirement home, in a retirement community outside of Washington, D.C. And they lived on the same street in this retirement community. They were 88 and 92, Doris Burr and Liz McIntosh. And they discovered that they had, they lived on the same street. They became friends. They discovered they had both worked overseas undercover for the OSS at the same time.
What?
Yeah.
Oh my God, that's so cool. Doris and Liz, sweet little Doris and Liz. Oh my God, I love little old ladies.
Yes, I mean, and you see them and they're so adorable, and yet they were like total badasses, back in the day, and they ended up working for the CIA after the OSS and never met each other. And so they, this article was amazing because they shared stories. Doris was undercover in Italy, and she would analyze aerial photographs to see what the Nazis were building. And Elizabeth McIntosh, she was also known as Liz or Betty, was in Asia actually, and was doing like what they call black propaganda in Asia, against the Japanese. So really amazing women. Yeah.
Wow, absolutely incredible. And I love, I think so often our society sort of is, doesn't really respect elderly people. It's sort of like, okay, granny, go sit in the corner, take your nap. Here's your Afghan. But actually, older people are freaking amazing. And I was super close to my grandmother, who was born in 1913. We spoke every single day up until and including the day that she passed. I lived with her for a while, and just her stories of surviving the Great Depression, just her stories of being in 1913, being in 1920, being in the 1930s, the 1940s. I mean, people had an incredible inner fortitude, an incredible courage and bravery and strength. And I love hearing those stories. So I'm here for this story for Doris and Liz. Yes. That sounds amazing. Anissa saying historical fiction and thriller/suspense are the best genres. Anissa, you and me, girl, we got it. This is so true. This is fantastic. And clearly Jane is one of us. Patricia is saying seniors are walking history books with firsthand experiences. They should be treasured always. Yes. Mindy saying she agrees. Me too. I absolutely love that. Okay, so you were in your idea file.
Yeah.
You saw the story about sweet little Doris and Liz, who, as adorable as they are, were also kick-ass, badass, amazing spies. Yeah. And that spawned this book?
Yeah, that was kind of the origin of the idea for the book. And then the more I dug into it, there was another article about this woman, Stephanie Czech Rader. Right at the end of the war, she served undercover in Poland. She was also with the OSS. And then Elizabeth McIntosh had written a book called Sisterhood of Spies, The Women of the OSS. And it was about her experiences, but also she had interviewed a number of the other women who served. And that book was kind of the jumping off point for my research. And that really was like, okay, I think there's a story here. There's enough here, enough there that I can write something. So that was kind of the start of the idea for what became The Secret Stealers.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
Now, Mystery Suspense magazine said, as realistic and heart-wrenching as the book is, it highlights the bravery and strength of the participants of both genders and reignites a faith in humanity. Amazing review from Mystery Suspense magazine there. Now, what do you think the secret is to writing that kind of book? Like, how do you write a book that reignites faith in humanity? How do you show that strength and that horror without, getting bogged down into it, without sounding corny? I mean, give us the secret of that.
I wish I had it. I think it's, you just, as you're a writer, you kind of develop an ear for what feels authentic without going into melodrama. It's kind of finding that balance of being authentic and honoring the history and creating characters that feel real and believable without going into kind of the soap opera melodrama, like you said, without sounding corny, and so I don't have any sort of magic solution. It's just like kind of feeling your way along to make sure it sounds organic and authentic to the time and the place.
Ooh, I love that. Authentic and organic. That resonates. And it clearly it worked because it landed well and earned that kind of praise. Now, Linda Cohen Loigman, who is the USA Today bestselling author of The Two-Family House, raves, this is flawlessly crafted and engrossing. Once again, Healy gifts readers with her trademark characters, everyday women who prove themselves extraordinary. How do you think you wrote a book that is, quote, engrossing? How do you keep the pages turning? How do you keep us up till 3 a.m., begging for just one more chapter? I mean, how do you keep it going? Because there is so much information there. How do you do that?
Yeah, I think that's another thing. It's a balancing act. I think you have to keep the plot moving and provide enough historical detail that is like the stuff that people love, the details that people are engrossing, without getting too bogged down in the historical. I think it's all about pacing and plot and structure, but also kind of weaving in that historical detail, but not nerding out on it. Like for instance, the main character, Anna Kavanagh, becomes a wireless operator when she serves undercover in the OSS in France. And I went, when she's trained on the wireless radio, I went down like a total research rabbit hole and nerded out. And my editor was like, yeah, you might want to dial back some of that. Like people care, but not that much about radios. So it's figuring out that balance, like to make it feel real and give people the history and education about like what these people did without boring them with too much detail.
Yeah. That is also a tough balancing act for this gal right here, because I could see myself being like, and then the dial 4 centimeters wide turned to 12 o'clock. It could be,
and the encryption and double encryption and yeah. My editor Alicia was like, okay, bring it back.
Gotta rein you in, little Pinky. Gotta rein you in. Oh, I love that. That's hilarious. Now, I want to talk about one of my favorite things, which is this gorgeous book cover. Jane, tell us the secrets of the Secret Stealers book cover, because look how gorgeous this is, you guys. This is so beautiful.
So thank you very much. I love this cover. It's my favorite of my 3 books. And I'm lucky. My publisher, Lake Union, lets me have a lot of say in the cover. It does take place in Paris, but I didn't want kind of the Eiffel Tower thing in the background. I feel like there's a lot of Eiffel Towers out there. I wanted it a little different. I wanted it a nod to the book, the story, and a nod to Paris. So this staircase is a pivotal scene in the book, and it's the Passy Metro staircase. The Passy Bridge, the Burj Hakim Passy Bridge, is a very notable bridge in Paris. It has a beautiful view of the Eiffel Tower, and then you go up the stairs to the Passy Metro station. And so there's a pivotal scene in the book that takes place there. So that's why we have that staircase. And then the kind of the font and everything is kind of a nod to, especially like the design underneath and above the Secret Stealers is kind of a nod to the Parisian kind of metro station signs and things. And then of course, Anna is on the stairs with, I kind of like the fact that you can't see her face. She's kind of shadowed to kind of set the tone for this type of story. It's kind of the fact that it's a spy story.
Ooh, I love that. And thank you for every single bit of that. Because it's just so pretty and it evokes the mood so perfectly. And I'm a cover nerd and I'll say it. I do judge a book by its cover. Okay. I'm guilty. So I need to know. Oh, good question. Patricia, she said, was researching the book overwhelming at times because of all the information available of the war itself? And did you have a favorite part of the story? So let's take that as a two-part question. The first part first.
It was this book kicked my butt in terms of the research. It was very overwhelming at times because you don't know when, like at a certain point, I just had to draw a line in the sand and say, okay, I am done enough to start writing, and that doesn't mean I didn't stop researching, but I needed to start getting the story on paper. So it was overwhelming because there is so much out there. I mean, people are still sending me resources about French resistance that, it's amazing. Do I have a favorite part of the story? One of my favorite scenes in the story is a party, and it was held by Florence Gould. She was an American living in Paris and a German sympathizer. She was incredibly wealthy. And so she was friendly with the Germans and lived very well in occupied Paris as a result. And she also, again, because of her wealth, but she would have these parties. And a couple of people online have been like, did that really happen? But she would have these parties and there would be artists and writers and German officers and French resistance undercover. And they would all go to her parties sometimes she'd have them at a hotel, sometimes she'd have them at her apartment. And someone was like, I can't believe that would actually happen. But that was a thing she did, like these salons, she called them sometimes. And it would be just this big salad of people from Paris all together drinking and eating, and what could go wrong. So that was one of my favorite scenes to write because it was based on true stories and I could just weave in lots of different characters and things going on. So yeah, I would say that was one of my favorites for sure.
Wow. And I know I, for one, that's what I love about nonfiction is that you can get away with it because when someone emails you and says, oh, that would never happen, you can say, oh, but it did.
It really did. And I understand, and that's why I put it in because I'm like, I can't believe all these people were hanging out together, but they were, and that was incredible. So
also, my God, somebody build me a time machine because I want to go to that party. I mean, that sounds like a crazy, rollicking, amazing, good time. Also, like, holy crap! Can you imagine being next to a German officer, next to an undercover spy, with all these artists and bohemians? I mean, what the actual heck? Oh my gosh! That is so cool. It sounds like some of the stories you still hear about Hollywood icons partying. Absolutely.
Yes.
What about great backstory? Okay, awesome. Okay, Andrea would like to know. Let's talk more about your research trip to Paris. So, how long did you go for? How many times did you go? Tell us about being there and researching it.
So I went for about a week with my husband, and it was very tightly packed schedule. I dragged him all over the city. The biggest day was working with that historian Nigel and traveling. I walked all over the city like for hours with him one day to get all my answers to my questions, and he also just provided so much context. But then we also hit the military museum, which was very helpful, and the French Resistance Museum, which is really small and very new. It's only a couple years old, and underneath the French Resistance Museum is a bunker that some of the resistance used at the end of the war. And so we got to see that and go into the bunker and kind of see that space. There was a lot of history there. Surprisingly, and I don't know if this is going to change because it's a newer museum, there was not a lot about the women of the French resistance in this museum, which was a little disappointing. And I hope they remedy that because there were so many heroes. So many female heroes, and they just weren't covered in this particular very tiny museum. So yeah, I mean, it was an invaluable trip and also fantastic because it's Paris and cheese and
Paris and cheese. Oh my god! And you said your husband speaks French. Is he French?
No, but he lived in Paris for a while, and he he speaks beautiful French to the point that it makes me jealous and annoyed. So but that's helpful. He was very helpful with this book.
Oh, I love that. Patricia's saying you have to write another book just sharing the research and your photographs during the book. Oh my god, I would love that. That sounds fantastic. I love this. Anissa is saying, who was the hardest character to write and why? Great question, Anissa. Jane, give us the secret.
Oh, who was the hardest character? I have to think about that for a second.
Take your time.
Oh, there is, Anna Kavanagh is the main character, and she has a love interest in Paris named Henri. And he was one of the only characters that most of them I was like, okay, I know who this person is. He was a little bit enigmatic. I couldn't get a read on who this person was going to be. And so that one, he took me a while. He was a little bit of a challenge. And to give him some depth and some backstory and understand who he was, that was the only one when my editor, when I first handed in the manuscript, was like, we need to know more about him. You need to dig deeper. And she was like, right. Yeah. So he was the hardest.
Yeah, because sometimes when you're doing research, some of them you're like, oh, I gotcha. I got your number. And then sometimes you're like, you're a mystery wrapped in an enigma, and it just, you can't quite get your arms around that person. So that's really cool to know that was your tough nut to crack.
He really was, for sure.
Elise Hooper, author of Fast Girl, says this book is not to be missed. Susie Orman Schnall says Healy has crafted a remarkable story of perseverance, friendship, and the adventurous spirit and bravery of women who were instrumental to the Allies' efforts. I mean, the praise just keeps on coming. Julian.
Awesome.
Yeah, Julian McLean raves the kind of book that you don't want to put down. Again, and you share that you crafted that through pacing. Oh my goodness, we're over our time. If anyone has any last questions, get them going in the comments. We have entered the lightning round, so go ahead and we will get those questions going up. There's our lightning round ticker because we are actually over time. But this has been such a fascinating conversation. Joy Jordan Lake raved that this is a heart-pounding, page-turning triumph of a novel. I love that. I have one more question. I forgot. I wanted to ask. Tell us the secret of the Secret Stealers title. How'd that come to be?
Yes. Oh my gosh. I had originally called it the Glorious Amateurs because Donovan referred to this group of people he pulled together as his Glorious Amateurs.
Ooh.
But my publisher was like, doesn't really roll off the tongue, kind of hard to say. And then I sent them 20 more, and they're like, no, but we think it should be the Secret Stealers. I'm like, okay, perfect. It works. It works. I mean, that's ultimately this is about women who worked undercover to steal intelligence, both in DC and in France as undercover agents. So
wow! So your editing team came up with that title, and you had nothing to do with it, but you knew it was right.
I think I was too close to the story at that point that I just couldn't get it. And they, when they said that, I'm like, yeah, that's so simple and totally works. So yeah, that was it.
Oh, I love that. Leslie says, I'm always curious about what inspires authors to become authors. What is your inspiration? So yeah, Jane, you segued over from a career in tech. Here you are writing lady spy books. You're getting tons of hearts up on Facebook. Give us the inside scoop. How'd you do it? Why'd you do it?
Quite honestly, I've always wanted to from the time I could write and read when I was little. And it was one of those things, I think a lot of authors kind of take different paths, and I needed to pay off my student loans, and I ended up in high tech. And but in the back of my mind, it was always like, I want to write fiction. I want to write fiction, and I finally kind of had the courage to start, in my early 30s. So, yeah.
I can, paying off student loans. Who can relate? I know I can. I also had to pay off my student loans, and I spent my career doing PR and marketing in financial services. So I totally relate. Anissa is saying, thank you, ladies. Another great chat as always. Anissa, thank you as well for joining us. I think I missed, a question. Yes, back here. Oh, good one from Andrea Chapman Johnson. Any books to recommend? Yeah, give us your TBR. Your
Oh,
two
I just finished, and because I interviewed her for I have a historical happy hour webinar. Pam Janoff's The Woman with the Blue Star, which is about true story based on some families in Poland who hid in the sewers of Krakow during World War II. And so that is just a beautiful, heart-wrenching novel. That's one that I recently read that I recommend for sure.
Oh, I love that. And my God, hiding in sewers. Oof, that's
unbelievable. Unbelievable.
Sharon saying, I really love how you do the webinars for each of your books and your website. You learn so much. Tell us about these webinars.
Yeah, so I have a YouTube channel. Thank you to my husband for putting up my YouTube channel that has, I do webinars, the history behind my novels. There's one dedicated to each book. And then I also started doing these webinars where I interview a new historical fiction author every month. So next is Soraya Lane, who's my friend in New Zealand. She has a new novel coming out, and so she's my next subject at the end of May.
Oh, very cool. Thanks for letting us know about these because I didn't. So that's really cool. Okay, we're wrapping up. I just want to say, anyone, if you love Twitter, follow Jane on Twitter. She is Healy Jane. If you love Facebook, follow Jane on Facebook. She's at Healy Jane Books. I'm putting these links in the comments. Patricia is saying, thank you so much. What a wonderful chat. I wish you all the very best of luck. And please know I am available to carry luggage when you travel again. Wink, wink. Or put me in your suitcase. Have a great day. Thank you so much for joining us, everybody. And don't forget to grab your copy of The Secret Stealers and support independent bookstores because they need our love so much right here through bookshop.org. So grab that book now. Sharon is saying, thank you. Now that I'm reading the book, I enjoy these even more. Oh, yay. That's so fantastic. All right, everybody, have a great day. Coming up at 4 p.m., I've got Jennifer McMahon, and I will see you all next time right here on A Mighty Blaze. Oh, Minna's saying Charlie and Jane are a great team. She loves the webinars and looks forward to The Woman with the Blue Star also coming in the mail soon. Oh, yay, Mindy. Thank you, everybody. You've been wonderful, and I will see you next time right here on Mighty Mysteries. Have a great day.
Sarah, you're awesome. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Jane.
Bye-bye.